Hey there! In this tutorial, we're going to show how you can write an app that displays pop-up ads as overlays on top of a video according to a set schedule. So here's an example of a bird, well, it's tweeting, I suppose, where you see that this little pop-up ad has appeared on the screen, and you see it's got some nice animations where it fades in and fades out. I'm going to use the arrow buttons to skip through the video a little bit so you can see some of those scheduled messages. In this case, we've got a video of a rabbit. You might have seen it before. And in fact, you're going to see that there's going to be a little pop-up here saying extra large big buck bunny rabbits are now available. There's the phone number if you want to call it. And again, I'm just going to step through with the arrow keys a little bit to jump through. And if I jump into a part of the video that already has a banner, it'll show immediately. Again, you'll see it fade away in just a moment. Maybe I should add sound effects. So the way we've defined the banners is a little JSON data file. It's very simple. Every banner just has an ID that determines the little image that you see there. It's got a start and an end time formatted in minutes and seconds, and then a title and a subtitle. That's about it, and we've defined 5 of them. They typically display for about 10 or 15 seconds and roughly once per minute. So that gives you a bit of a rhythm. Now, you've just seen it running in a browser, but we're going to see how it runs on Senza in just a moment. Now, one thing that's kind of special about Senza is because it has foreground and background mode, you would normally schedule something to happen using a timeout in JavaScript, but if the app's not running, then that's not going to be possible. So there's an alarm manager feature in Senza that lets you essentially schedule a timeout using the SDK, where even if the app is not running, you can schedule it for a time in the future, and Alarm Manager will go ahead and wake it up. So this app is actually kind of agnostic to whether or not you're running on Senza, and it's written in such a way that it works both in a browser and in the Senza platform. We're using the new auto background feature to move to background opportunistically after 10 seconds of inactivity. And we're going to turn that on and off as the app runs so that if a banner is showing, it won't move to background mode. And if it's not, then it'll turn on auto background mode. So the way that the app works is it has a function called getNextEvent that's going to look through this file basically and find the first one that occurs in the future. That is to say, the end time is after the current time. And if it has not already started, the start time is in the future, then it will schedule an event to show the pop-up. Otherwise, if it's already started, it'll schedule an event to hide the pop-up. Makes sense, I hope. So when we schedule the next event, what it's going to do is it's going to clear any previous events that have been scheduled. If we are going to show a pop-up in the future, we're going to make sure it's not showing now. If we are going to hide a pop-up in the future, we're going to make sure that it's showing the correct information for the current event and that it is on screen. And then we're going to go ahead and schedule that event. So this is where a bit of the magic happens. We have this function called isRunning end-to-end that checks if you're running on Senza or not. And if we are, we are going to do some Senza specific stuff. And if we're not, we're just going to call set timeout with that function and call it after a certain number of seconds. Notice that this function takes a number of milliseconds, so we multiply it by 1,000. basically, we're going to use the alarm manager's add alarm method to schedule it in the future. Note that this takes a time rather than a time interval, so we need to add that number to the current time. And then if we haven't already, we're going to define an event listener for that event that moves to foreground and then calls the function. And that function is going to get passed with whatever we pass in here to add alarms. So the detail for that event will get passed into the function. So those functions that we're going to pass to it are either show popup or hide popup. Update popup just updates the user interface by setting the picture and the text. So show popup is going to do that. Then it's going to do an animation to dissolve it in, and then it's going to schedule the next event after that. Hide popup will just animate it out and again schedule the next event. We have a little function just for turning it on and off, which is useful when you are skipping back and forth. So that removes any animation, makes it visible, and then sets background mode accordingly. And then we also set background mode accordingly when we are doing the animations to dissolve in and dissolve out. So that's about it for the code. Let's go back and check how it runs on Senza. So what you're going to see is that it basically does the same thing. The difference is that it's going to switch to background mode automatically when it can. So let's go have a look. We've programmed the arrow buttons so they jump back and forth 10 seconds, so you have a bit more control. So when the bird shows up, you should see the little bird notification there. Okay. And after a few seconds, it's going to move to background mode automatically. So you'll see a little spinner in just a moment. And now it's in background mode. And then when it's time to show the pop-up for the rabbit, you'll see that it'll switch back to foreground mode automatically. And I'm just going to let it run so you can see how that works a couple of times over. So we're back in foreground mode. Here's your little pop-up. And that'll stay on the screen for a few seconds, and then it's going to fade out. And then now in a bit less than 10 seconds, we'll switch to background mode again. And I'm just going to let it run all the way through. So if you get the idea, you can stop watching now. That's all there is to it. If you want to continue watching just to get the full experience, then stick around. Ready to fly away. There's our butterfly. These poor animals are giving the bunny so much grief. Hungry for a snack? Looks like the bunny's gonna get a whole bunch of acorns. Thwop, thwop, thwop. Okay, this is one of those YouTube videos where the guy just talks through the video. I know that's annoying. Okay, so we're just going to jump forward in time a little bit so we can see the last one. And I think you get the idea by now. I think the bunny's had enough of these critters. It's probably time to call the exterminator. Okay, that's about it. I think you get the idea. So you've seen in this tutorial how to use the alarm manager so that you can display some pop-up banners on top of the video. Thanks for watching.